Students, I welcome you. Today we are going to discuss the transient heat conduction. The transient heat conduction, that means the unsteady state heat conduction. As we have seen, the three different terms, they are associated with the general heat conduction equation, that is the diffusion term, the generation term, that is the heat generation term or heat consumption term, and the third one is the unsteady state conduction. Till now, we have discussed the systems where the steady state that has been attained. The steady state, that is nothing but the temperature does not vary with the time. That means the delta T upon small delta t, d capital T upon delta small t, this capital T is your temperature, and this T is the time. So you have to understand the temperature term. This temperature term does not vary with the time. That is called a steady state condition. But today we are going to discuss the unsteady state condition. That means the temperature that is going to vary with the time. So this temperature that is going to vary with the time, and that means temperature is a function of time. Then the diffusion term that incorporates the variation of temperature with respect to the distance, that is delta x, that is delta T upon delta x, delta T upon delta y, delta T upon delta z. So this is the variation of temperature with respect to the distance. This is variation of temperature with respect to the time. So when we consider the general heat conduction equation, where the unsteady state condition that is taken into account, there we have to take into account both the terms, that is variation of temperature with respect to time as well as variation of temperature with respect to distance. So in general, I can write the temperature field in any transient problem that is given as temperature is a function of the distances x, y, and z and the time. And these are called your transient problems. These are called your transient problems. So that is why you call this unsteady state as a transient state. So that means these problems, they are not at a steady state. That means the temperature varies with respect to time. Distance varies, temperature varies with respect to the distance. Now where such conditions they arise in your day-to-day problem, that is any abrupt changes in the surface temperature or environment that is taking some time before the body to attain the equilibrium temperature. So these are your concern with the equilibrium temperature. Say a human body, that is its certain temperature is there, and you take a thermometer for which you first reduce the temperature, and then you put that thermometer to you, apply that thermometer to your body and measure the temperature. So that thermometer, which is at lower temperature, is exposed to a body temperature which is slightly higher than the initial temperature. So this thermometer that slightly increases the mercury level, and you can read or note down the variation in the temperature also. So this is the unsteady state condition. Now, when you take out the thermometer, that means we assume that the body temperature is equal to the thermometer temperature indicated by the thermometer. That means the equilibrium has been attained between the body and the thermometer. So that is the equilibrium temperature, or it's a steady state temperature. But before this steady state, where the temperature of the thermometer is increasing and has not attained the body temperature, that is your unsteady state condition. That is the transient state condition. That means during this interim period, the temperature varies with the time and the body is said to be in the unsteady or the transient state condition. This steady state is thus the limit of transition temperature distribution for large values of the time. The analysis of transient heat transfer is of great interest for engineers, and where these problems they are occurring, that is of concern. I have quoted you one example that is related to the human body while we measure the temperature. So similar examples are there, that is the boiler tubes. Initially the boiler tubes are at lower temperature. Once you provide the heat, its temperature increases. Then rocket nozzles, electric iron. Electric iron is also similar case. That is, you switch on the electric button and the iron temperature that increases gradually. And once the iron temperature that attains a certain temperature, then the heating also stops. So there is a limit switch that is provided after a certain temperature that has been attained. That limit switch activates and the electric current switch off, so that it tries to maintain a certain temperature. Then your automobile engines. At the start of engine, it's at a lower temperature, atmospheric temperature. However, when the engine is running, its temperature increases to a certain extent. Then the cooling and freezing of the food, that is what our direct application in your food industries. Similarly, your polymer, that how that polymer is getting cooled is also very essential to understand the different stresses that will be developed in that material or the final product. That is also your transient state conduction. Then the heat treatments of metals by quenching. Suddenly you require to reduce the temperature of the metal. That is what is quenching. So heating and cooling of the buildings, all these are the different examples that can be that is there in your day-to-day life for this transient or the unsteady state conduction problems. That is the time to attain a certain temperature when the environment is suddenly changed. So the solution of the unsteady state problem will be more complex than that of the steady state one, because of the presence of another variable, that is your time. Till now only x, y and z, that is your direction, was the function. Now direction as well as the time, both are the functions of your temperature. So one dimensional transient problem would be more complex as the two dimensional steady state problem. When you talk the steady state two dimensional problem, that means your x and y, they are incorporated, and one dimensional transient problem, that would indicate x and the t, both the things are incorporated in your one dimensional transient problem. So this transient problems, they can be the periodic and the non-periodic. That is, periodic heat flow problems are those in which the temperature varies on your regular basis. So these are your periodic heat flow problems. Temperature variation is on regular basis. For example, that is the variation of temperature of surface of the earth during a 24-hour period. And for non-periodic conditions, that is the temperature at any point within the system varies non-linearly with the time. That is, it's not a cyclic. So determine the temperature distribution for some transient heat conduction is our concern. Now we are going to discuss what will be the temperature distribution in the body at these transient conditions, at these unsteady state conditions. So when this is what is our general heat conduction equation with the no heat generation, without heat generation. So that is your distance x, y and z, and temperature is a function of time. When you consider the one dimension, it is the time is a function of distance as well as the time, both. However, if it is a diffusion problem only, there is only x term, that is what the distance term, that will be there. Now, to understand this, we are going to discuss the few things, that is the system with negligible internal resistance. This is one of the conditions, and this is of our more concern related to the chemical engineering system. That is, its internal resistance is neglected. So yesterday we have seen the different resistances that is they are associated in the any system, and these systems with negligible internal resistances, they are called the lumped heat analysis. It is called the lumped heat analysis. Now when we consider any body, now say this is the body that is we are going to study, and this body is having a volume V and the area A. Its temperature is the T. This surrounding temperature is the T infinity, or TA also, it is represented in our derivation also. T infinity, which is equal to the TA, that is the surrounding temperature. Now this body that is kept into a container, I can put this also in a container where the water that is available at a certain exposed temperature, TA or say T infinity. This is the water that is available. So this temperature T is your initial temperature. Say surrounding temperature is, I have put the hot water here of say 80 degrees Celsius, and this initial metal ball is having the temperature of say 25 degrees Celsius. So from this 25 degrees Celsius initial temperature of this body, that is going to increase. So this temperature T is the continuously changing function. It is continuously changing till it attains the surrounding temperature of 80 degrees Celsius, right? So we are assuming second thing, that this surrounding temperature is also remaining constant. This is not going to vary. This surrounding temperature 80 degrees Celsius is constant. So this temperature of 25 degrees Celsius, that is going to gradually increase, and after certain time it will be same as your 80 degrees Celsius. So the steady state condition will occur when the temperature T, that will be equals to the T infinity. At infinite temperature, at certain specific temperature, the body temperature T, that will be equals to the surrounding temperature T infinity. This is the steady state condition. But what will happen at this unsteady state condition? That is how the temperature distribution of this body, that will be noted. That is the understanding in this today. That is the heat transfer. Then there are two resistances that will be taken into account. One is your body resistance. This body itself, depending on the thermal conductivity K, the body will have the temperature at this point and at the another point also. That is, at this point a certain temperature, at the center a certain temperature, and at this point also another temperature that can vary as a function of the distance. So it's a function of the distance, but the thermal conductivity K is such that, or the body is so small that there is no variation in the temperature, internal temperature. That is what our one of the assumptions. The temperature inside the body is uniform throughout. So there are, that is one resistance, which is the internal resistance, that is the body resistance, and second is the surrounding film, liquid film or the gas film, which is available with this. This is what your convective resistance. This is your convective resistance H, and the body will have a conducting resistance K. So two resistances are there. One is because of the convection, which is outside the body, and second is another because of the conduction. That is, the two resistances are taken into account. So the heat transfer in heating or cooling a body is dependent on the internal and the surface resistances. Surface resistance, that is nothing but your convective resistance. So internal resistance L upon Ka. That is what we have discussed yesterday also. Q, which is equal to minus Ka dt upon dx, from where you will get this L upon Ka. That is from the Fourier law. And second, the surface resistance or the convective resistance, that is nothing but 1 upon HA. Here the convective resistance at the surface boundary is very large, when compared to the internal resistance due to the conduction. This convective resistance is large. This is what is more concerned in this unsteady state condition, or because we are considering the negligible internal resistance. When we talk negligible internal resistance, that means the conducting resistance K term is negligible, or you can say the higher value, higher thermal conductivities are there, then, or the smaller dimensions of the body that will be there. For example, in case of a wire, or the thin plates are there, where the thickness L is very small irrespective of the K. L is very small, and as a result you will get a uniform temperature throughout. So that is the convective resistance at the surface boundary is very large when compared to the internal resistance due to the conduction. The solid has an infinite thermal conductivity, so that there is no variation in temperature inside the solid, and the temperature is function of time only. So we are trying to minimize the variation because of the distance. We are assuming the small dimensions. So this temperature gradient inside the solid, whether the heat is added or removed. However, the solid of a larger thermal conductivities with the surface area that are large in proportion to their volume, like the thin metal wires and plates. So convective resistance that is dominating, and the process in which the internal resistance is ignored, being negligible in comparison with its surface resistance, is called the Newtonian heating or the cooling. It is the Newtonian heating or the cooling that is called. So in this process, the temperature throughout the solid is considered to be uniform at a given time, and such an analysis, that is called the lump heat capacity analysis, because of whose whole solid, whose energy at any time is a function of temperature and total heat capacity. So we have to then take the balances over that. So whatever the heat that is transferred from the surrounding to the system, that is to be taken into account. The hot fluid that is going to supply the heat to the body. That means the changes in the internal energy of a body during the time dt. Changes in the internal energy of a body during the time dt. That is how you can calculate that. Heat capacity, that is the holding capacity, whatever the heat supplied to that body, its temperature that is going to increase, and that will depend on your mCp delta T. So this term, that is your rho Cp into V dt upon dt, that is, this is nothing but mCp delta T. M you can write as rho into V, that is what? Rho into V into Cp into the dt. But the units of Q, that is watts. So watts, you have to divide it by the time. So that is what? The changes in the time that is taken into account. This term indicates the change in the internal energy of the body during the time dt. change in the internal energy of a body during the time dt. And the second term, that is the convective term, that is the HA into bracket T minus T infinity. That is the net heat flow from the body to the bath during the time dt. Net heat flow from the body or from the bath to the body during the time dt, which is HA T minus T infinity. T is the body temperature and T infinity is the surrounding temperature. Now we will consider the small derivation. T is your temperature of the body at any time t. Here this tau is same as your t, small t. This tau, that is equals to the T, and this TA atmospheric temperature, that is nothing but the T infinity or the surrounding temperature. W is the weight of the body, H is the heat transfer coefficient of the surface of the body, Ti is the initial temperature of the body, then there is a TA ambient temperature, initial temperature of body, temperature of the body at any time. So body temperature is T at any time, Ti is the initial temperature and Ta is the surrounding temperature. So HA into bracket T minus TA. In the previous equation, we have written T minus T infinity because the TA is same as the T infinity. So this is equal to the rho VCP into delta T upon delta T. This T is nothing but the time. This tau is nothing but the time. So at time t is equal to 0, T becomes equals to Ti. And for time t greater than 0, this temperature T is a function of time. So now we are going to simplify this. So both the things, they are equated. The body is exposed to the surrounding temperature Ta. So change in the internal energy, which is equal to the convective heat transfer. This is the change in the internal energy. This is nothing but mCp delta T. And the convective heat transfer, which is nothing but HA delta T. So simply rearranging this, dt upon T minus Ta, which is equal to the minus HA into rho VCP from 0 to T dt. So this initial temperature is the T and the TA is the surrounding temperature. Some books, this TA is T infinity also. So at initially time t is equal to 0, T becomes equal to the Ti. So it becomes ln of Ti minus Ta, which is equal to the C1. So putting this ln T minus Ta, which is equal to the HA rho VCP into T plus ln of C1, that we have obtained by putting the boundary conditions. Then simplifying this, you get, this is the most important equation, that is the lump capacitance analysis. Now we are going to rearrange this same equation by multiplying and dividing by A here, that is multiplied, that is divided, so this becomes equals to A square. And the second thing is that the V. We are going to multiply and divide by the V. That is, this V has been multiplied. So it becomes, this V becomes equal to the V square. This is for manipulation of the things. So that is HV upon Ka into K rho Cp A square upon V square. Because we are concerned to obtain A square upon V square. Now what is V upon A? That is the volume upon area. This is the length. That is the dimensionless length that is called. So this V upon A, that becomes equal to the L, HL upon K. And this HL upon K is termed as the Biot number. And this K upon rho Cp is nothing but your thermal diffusivity. That is this alpha, thermal diffusivity, K upon rho Cp. And A square upon V square, that is 1 upon L square, and T as it is. So this alpha T upon L square, this is termed as the Fourier number. Alpha T upon L square, that is known as the Fourier number. We have tried to obtain it in terms of a dimensionless number. So this equation, that becomes equal to T minus Ta upon Ti minus Ta, which is equal to E raised to minus Bi upon Fo. So in this case, the L, that is the characteristic length, which is nothing but the volume upon area. So depending on the shape, this characteristic length is going to vary. So first consider the sphere. Having the length sphere, its characteristic length, that is volume, is 4 by 3 pi r cube, and the surface area is 4 pi r square. So this L is having the value of r by 3 for the sphere, then r by 2 for the cylinder, and L by 6 for the cube, and x for the flat plate. For long square rod, that is x by 2. So this is the dimensionless numbers that is there. For square rod, it's x by 2. Now, the Biot number is the dimensionless term. This Biot number is the ratio of thermal resistance to the surface resistance. What is it in return? The Biot number is HL upon K. 1 upon K is your 1 upon K, that is nothing but your conductive resistance, internal body resistance, and 1 upon HA is your convective resistance. So that is what we are defining this as the internal resistance to the surrounding resistance. So that is what the Biot number in the equation is the ratio of internal resistance K, internal resistance, that is nothing but 1 upon K, and the surface resistance, that is 1 upon H. This is concerned. The basic assumption of negligible internal resistance is reasonably accurate for Biot numbers less than 0.1. That is what is our basic assumption. This lump capacitance analysis is applicable for the negligible internal resistance. So that is what Biot number, which is equal to HLC upon K, which is less than 0.1. Now at any time t, the instantaneous rate of heat transfer from solid having a negligible internal resistance is Qt, which is equal to the HA delta T, and here T minus T infinity, which is nothing but, from this equation you can get the e raised to minus HA rho VCP into the T. Replacing this, you will get this equation. Then total amount of the heat transfer. For that, you are going to integrate it from time 0 to T. So this equation is going to give you the total amount of the heat transfer from time t is equal to 0 to the time t is equal to T. Now this is the significance of Biot number, that is the conduction resistance upon the convective resistance. Conductance resistance is K and convective resistance is 1 upon H. The smaller the Biot number means small internal resistance, which is nothing but the same temperature gradient in the metal or higher thermal conductivity. This is what our basic assumption associated with this lump capacitance analysis. That is the practical uniform temperature in the solid. Then the Fourier number alpha T upon L square. This indicates the degree of heating or cooling to the solid. And alpha upon L square is small, then longer time required for temperature change. Alpha upon L square is small, then the longer time that is required for the change. So we will try to analyze one problem based on this. That is a copper slab of 40 centimeter by 40 centimeter and 5 millimeter thickness. At a uniform temperature of 250 degrees Celsius, suddenly has its surface temperature lowered to 30 degrees Celsius. That means a uniform temperature of 250 body and it is exposed to the 30 degrees Celsius. Find the time at which the slab temperature becomes 90 degrees Celsius. The density, heat capacity, thermal conductivity and the convective heat transfer coefficient that is mentioned. So this is the copper slab. Slab is having the dimension surface area, that is L into B, and the two surfaces, it is in the atmosphere where the heat loss is from both the surfaces. That is why it is taken as area which is equal to 2 into 0.4 into 0.4, two surfaces, two sides. Then the volume, that is 0.4 into 0.4 into the thickness, that is the 5 millimeter thickness. This is for the volume. So characteristic length V upon A, or you can calculate directly remembering from this formulas, that is, this is written for the cube, but this is a rectangular plate. So it is easy to calculate the area and the volume. So value of the Biot number HLC upon K. H is your convective heat transfer coefficient, LC is your characteristic length, and K is your thermal conductivity. So this Biot number value is less than 0.1. It is very, very less than 0.1. So this situation is perfectly applicable for this lump capacitance analysis. Then this HA upon rho CP into V, that value is easy to calculate. And finally, the temperature at any time t minus T infinity upon initial temperature of the body minus the T infinity. This is the initial driving force of the system. Initial driving force. The maximum temperature gradient is this, or the initial driving force. And this is this driving force, that is T minus T infinity, that is going to vary continuously because this T temperature is changing continuously. This T0 is the initial temperature. This T is the varying temperature. And T infinity is the surrounding temperature itself. So this T minus T infinity is your varying value. Variation is there. It's not fixed. However, T0 minus T infinity, it's a fixed. This T infinity is same as TA. So one can, after simplification, you can calculate the temperature time as 123.83 seconds. Similarly, you can solve the problems associated with the steel rod as well as for the sphere, aluminum sphere, that can be also solved. Then the second important aspect is that the Hausdorff chart. Now what this Hausdorff chart is, that is unsteady state heating or cooling on the plane wall, got spheres, etc., with the finite conductive and the convective resistances with the Biot number 0 to 100 is well analyzed. So this is what your Biot number, this is what your Fourier number, and x upon L, that is the another function, variation of distance. When the conduction resistance is not negligible, the temperature history becomes a function of the Biot number and the Fourier number and the dimensionless parameter x upon L. So there are different graphs or the charts that is available, and these graphical charts have been prepared for these above equations, that is the dimensionless parameters, to calculate if these values they are known versus the Fourier number for the various values of the Biot number for the solids of different geometries. These charts give the temperature history of the solid at its mid plane x equals to 0. So this is the graph that has been put here, the temperature T minus TA or T minus T infinity upon T0 or T initial, T0 or T initial minus TA or T infinity against the Fourier number for different values of the Biot number. Now, if the Biot numbers are very less, that is less than 0.1, it's approximately these values, they correspond to the y-axis. As the Biot number increases, there is a variation in the Fourier number that is also observed. This graph is for the sphere. Similar graphs one can see for the flat plate. This is the temperature at the center of a large flat plate, that is T1 minus T, T1 minus T0, and this is what is your Fourier number. This is what M is nothing but 1 by Biot number, and there is a variation of Fourier number from 0 to 4, 0 to 30, and this is on the log graph paper. So this is the lower values of the Biot number for 0, 0.5, 0.1. All these are the lower values of the Biot number which is available, and that is nothing but 1 upon Biot number values. These are, and this expanded form that is available here. That is this graph that is showing all the variations for the flat plate, but